People who've operated the network cameras at major sporting events. What's the wildest thing you've captured that the network wouldn't air? Watching a third round FA Cup game midweek in the pouring rain. Boring as hell. Had a bloody hell. Turned round to find the cameraman quickly refocusing on a large fat man wearing nothing but a large baby nappy and performing a 30-foot knee slide on the mud in front of the home fans. Camera guy laughing his head off turned to me and said, "Shame it won't make the highlights." Edit. I do have a photo of the chunky bugger running across the field. I'll try and dig it out in the morning. I was shooting a Big Ten football game in 2011 and saw a gentleman in the stands who appeared to be drunk. He was standing up at his seat, weaving back and forth, and kind of stumbling. I turned the camera on him because I thought it was kind of funny. Then, all of a sudden, he just fell over. The people next to him jumped on him and started doing CPR. I stopped rolling immediately. He had had a massive heart attack. EMTs came and carried him out on a stretcher and put him in an ambulance. The worst feeling in the world was watching the ambulance just sit in the tunnel for a long time and not turn its lights on. He had already died. It was F***king horrible, and I felt like a huge asshole for not realizing what was going on. It still really bothers me. I'm certified in CPR now, in part because of that experience. 90% certain we caught a cheating couple at the US Open this year. They got caught off guard on camera winning a giveaway and did not look happy about it, and both got real suspicious like. Never done sports, but I work in corporate average. I've seen corporate Christmas parties get completely out of hand. Booby cam, fights, sex on the dance floor, general shenanigans. Had mics left open while people were unaware and going to the washroom or making petty or rude remarks, but the winner was one of the first huge events my former employer did in 2002. First anniversary party celebrating the merger of two energy companies into one mega company. 2,500 plus people, 650x20 screens, 2,000 feet of P&D, 6 cameras, bands, acrobats F&B, the works. Months of planning, a week of setup and 3 days of teardown for one 5-hour gig. They hired acrobats from Cirque du Soleil to perform throughout the party. One of them, we shall call Balloon Dancer. Balloon Dancer did a routine where she did acrobatics on a pair of ribbons suspended from a giant helium balloon 40 or so feet in the air. BD wore a sheer red bodysuit over a pair of shorts and a bandeau top. During her routine, the bandeau top rolled down exposing her boobs to the crowd on 6 15x20 screens. The switcher op only noticed, after about 20 seconds, that she was upside down and topless and started calling for different camera shots, but all the cameras were of course focused on the action. I got boobs on 1. Camera 2, you're live. Nope, I got boobs on 2. I got boobs on 3. Camera 4, go wide, you're live. So American women's soccer player Maya Hamm was attending the Cincinnati Reds game. The camera zooms in on her and she takes a huge, and I mean huge, chug of her beer. Back in the 1990s, before they blew up the Kingdome, there was a file of compiled footage of all the people sneaking up to the 300 level nosebleeds and F***king, but it was all sped up 3x. I think it made its circles around the Iowa Tech undergrad community for years. The Kingdome 300 level was pretty legendary. Unless the Yankees or some other big name team was in town, it was completely deserted. People got arrested for getting naked in the restrooms and just hanging out. When I was a kid, my dad was a camera operator for the local public access channel and would volunteer to record the Sunday sermons at our church. I often got to sit with him in the camera room and mostly watch, but sometimes help. Occasionally, he'd let me operate one of the boards to record the children's sermon, where all the kids in the congregation would go to the front and sit on the dais, and the minister would tell them a story before they went to Sunday school. My job was to pan through the group of kids and find the ones that were goofing off and cut to them for a couple seconds, then back to the group shot. The funniest one we caught was a kid who was standing, bent over, just waving his butt in the air. Waving it at the other kids, waving it at the congregation, etc. It was hilarious. We figured it'd be inappropriate to include that in the taping, so we didn't use it. not on the camera, but was part of the crew. The cheerleaders formed a tunnel for the players to run through. Handheld camera was right behind one of the cheerleaders waiting for the team. Watching it later you could see that she was getting a little flustered because she knew the camera was there and what was coming up. Right before the players come out all the cheerleaders bend over as part of the routine. Camera get perfect crotch view that would make a gynecologist blush. Producer yells OF***K. Pull out, then realizes what he said and the whole truck loses it. I'm a live sports camera operator, mostly working in American Western sporting events like rodeos and freestyle bullfighting. Occasionally there are added bonus events that occur during rodeos that are put on for the locals. This summer I encountered a true gem. The game was Quadiators. 6 teams of 2 ride on quads around a small circle in the arena. The teammate on the back has a ballon filled with talc powder on their helmet and a plastic baseball bat. Goal is to smash the balloons of opponents. In the second heat, things got really out of hand. Most of the contestants were teens, but there was one older fellow who seemed full of vengeance. He ran his quad into every owns, eventually flipping one over and driving on top of it. He also grabbed a contestant by the back of the neck and started punching his balloon. An all-out brawl ensued. My director was worried that this may have been getting out of hand and we should settle on a wide shot instead of glorifying the bully. So there were a few minutes of readjusting. But the people who put on the whole event were standing behind the director hooping and hollering and cheering the older fellow on as he rampaged the arena. The police eventually dragged the guy out. I've been working with the same crew for a long time and we practically chat through our headsets during the entire game. There have been many laugh out loud moments and my director would purposely take my camera when I would be laughing from a funny comment someone made in the headset. I would try so hard to hold the camera still and be focused but all you'd see is the camera shaking from hearty laughter on my part. Even the cameras that are not on your shoulders, it's super easy to shake it when you're laughing and zoomed in on a player. Best times. I've only done a couple, and the director mostly wants all cameras on the action on the field. However, when alcohol is involved, we see lots of stuff happening, and directors frequently chuckle, but then tell us to pan away. Glad you caught that, but we can't show that. Slightly odd, but I remember visiting a rural family that had a satellite dish when those things were rare. They got network feeds, so no commercial breaks. One of their favorite pastimes was ABC News on the weekends. Maximum Robinson, RIP, was a different man when the red light was off. During the breaks, and before the show started, he'd be smoking cigarettes, yelling and swearing at the staff, scowling. Then the director would start the countdown, and he'd put the ashtray away and transform into straight newsman. Unintentionally hilarious. Not a camera op, but crew at the event. I was doing the tech rehearsal for a major sport team starting in my season. We had gone through most of the show. The flags came out. New crew dropped our staging. We all wanted to leave. I had a date to run off to. They run all the graphics by the Jumbotron and were about to strike everything. And over the radio, "Come okay, we are going to test the doves." Everyone looks around and out of one field entrances comes 12 white doves. Then a shot rang out. This arena has the best acoustics in the world. This noise sounded just like a gunshot. We all look up and see the announcer's window shaking and 2 or 3 doves falling to the ground. Then we see the culprit. Some hawks who make their home in the area are taking a well-deserved meal from the show. Not one of those doves made it out that day, and for the next hour or so the cameramen at the arena were following the hawks around as they killed and ate the poor doves. It was fascinating to see the birds pick up and fly hide the birds so they can eat in peace. Also at the end of the day the doves were cut from the opening ceremonies. Not sports. Worked at a regional station. News broadcast with a female guest. No panties and short skirt. Nobody noticed until the producer mentioned she had nice legs. Try and get them in shot. Followed by an OF***K. Scrap that. We broadcasted lady parts for less than 10 frames and got hundreds of complaints. Still makes me laugh. Edit. Well, that blew up. As did the producer, haha. Those that want links. Unfortunately this was early 2000s. Still working on tape. I'm sure it still exists somewhere, but doubt it is online. Those wondering why the complaints, rural OAPs was our key demographic. Those wondering how she reacted, nobody ever commented on it with her. The interview was finished, she left through the control room and people said, bye. When she was out of eyesight the producer had a rant and everybody else just could not control themselves laughing. When the host came out she didn't have a clue. The look on her face was priceless. Back in the 80s we had a VCR tape that was put together by the crews that worked the sporting events back in the day. My dad's best friend was an engineer that did that kind of work. There was people screwing, players running across the field with giant dildos, naked people, blowjobs, topless girls in the infield at races, a drunk naked dude running and jumping in the mud in the infield, and more sex. There was depravity I had not seen at that point in my life. I wish we still had that tape. I work for an AV company, and one of the things some of my coworkers do is create bingo cards based off of our predictions and the theme of the event. In order to get the bingo space, they have to be captured on camera live on the big screen, and we have to pan away from it. Our most frequent occurrences are girls flashing the camera when they see themselves on the big screens, chubby men who also flash the camera, gay men in Daisy Dukes who jump and jostle themselves out of their shorts, kiss cam couples that get handsy, and catching unsuspecting people digging for gold like their lives depended on it. One of the best signs I ever saw was when they were scanning the crowd, and there's a dude holding a sign that says you can't spell penis without ESPN. They cut away real quick, but I laughed for a while on that one. I used to do camera work in the big sound dishes you see on the football sidelines, aka the salad bowls. Several sound sources would be merged together to get the collision sounds, grunts, quarterback hikes, etc. What all we got to hear, but not broadcasted, was the awesome trash talk between the players, incorporated insults against moms, sisters, girlfriends, etc. When I was younger we had one of those giant satellite dishes. During commercial breaks, the feed would continue, and the cameraman would scan the stands for hot women. Not my story to tell, but I'm a Toronto kid. Our baseball team the Blue Jays play a venue called the Sky Dome, now the Rogers Center, Sigh, and one of the perks of this stadium is that it contains a hotel. If you book a room, some of the room's windows look out over the field. Anyway, the cameraman used to pan along the hotel windows occasionally, either live to air, or just in the stadium itself on the jumbotron, until one time, a couple was having very intense sex against the hotel window. And that was the last time the cameraman shot footage of the hotel rooms. Not a cameraman, but I was at a Nebraska game a few years back, and they were getting shots of the crowd on the jumbo screen at one point. They get a nice shot of a dude holding up a big sign saying "Go Black Shirts," or something to that effect. Within seconds of him realizing he's on camera, he lets that sign drop, and right behind that one is another sign with F*** right in the pussy, written larger than life on it. You've never seen a camera pan away faster in your life. Everyone in my section looked at each other for a few seconds, asking ourselves, did we just see that? Not a camera op, but I work with a marathon company doing timing. We have photographers on course every few miles or so. The photographers turn in their SD cards at the end of the day with all the pictures on them. Then, the several tens of thousands of pictures are automatically sorted by participants. The software reads the participant number on the bibs, then assigns it to that participant. No human is curating the photos, which can occasionally lead to problems. Anyway, we got an email once from a man who was unhappy because his dick was hanging out of his shorts. It's also semi-common for runners to lose control of their bodily functions. So every once in a while we get an email from someone asking us to remove the picture of crap running down their legs. I've told this story before, but it's worth mentioning again. I was on camera 9 at a baseball game, which means in about 99% of all scenarios my camera isn't getting used. All I'm doing is scanning the crowds on the opposite side for babies, fathers with their sons, happy couples, stuff they can cut to fill airtime in between innings and stuff. Every now and then there would be a pop fly, and I got to trace that to whoever caught it, and sometimes pan to the dugout, but it was really just a crowd camera for when they hit home runs. So I'm panning through people as the pitcher is setting up his next throw and the director goes, "Wow. Camera 9, get a close up for the girl in the pink shirt." So I do, and I'm not exaggerating saying that she has 36 QQQ boobs barely covered by this pink tank top. I get a close up of here, and he says okay, lock it down. So I do. Sat there for the next 45 minutes with nothing happening because baseball is extremely boring to film, and got paid to look at boobs. Ended up getting brought back. He liked my work so much. Aslo had a close up of a kid and his mom as he threw up on her, and that didn't get to air. Not 100% to the question, but I worked at a major news outlet that had done a story that a small group of people didn't like, so we had maybe 30 people outside protesting. They had crudely made signs on sticks and were kinda doing a circle, like you see union protesters do. One of the cameramen was filming it from where we were outside of a second floor window. One guy seemed to be walking slower than the rest and had trouble keeping the nicely spaced circle, and people kinda bunched up naturally around him. Out of nowhere the guy just projectile vomits, hitting a few other protesters, and everyone is a mixture of grossed out and confused. Suddenly the circle of protesters breaks up and people are running in every direction, and 2 minutes later, no more protest. A pile of puke is the only evidence anyone was ever there. We watched that video over and over. The editing team slowed it down, put it to music, etc. Never laughed so much in my life. Best time in an otherwise stressful job. I used to be a cameraman for big time sports events, and one time I saw the hot dog selling guy pull out a hot dog and put it in his pants, so it looked like he had a big time wiener. Finally I can, kinda, contribute to an Reddit post. Last year during a Big Ten football game that I worked, a colleague of mine was working the sideline microphone, the one that looked like a half sphere that point towards the field, and said he got a defensive back saying I got that B****ch moments before he jumped his coverage and nabbed an interception. It may not be the most earth-shattering thing, but it might be my favorite that I've heard so far in the few years I've done this. I was part of the crew on a video shoot where the only unscripted scene was 3 men and 1 woman washing a car. There were 3 camera ops and the director said over headset, "Guys, just shoot what you see." A few seconds of silence later, "Okay, you guys are all shooting boob girl." Used to work on Survivor. There is a compilation of all the accidental titties and ass exposed by contestants. I'm a drone cam op and I haven't been able to witness anything too crazy, but about a month ago we were filming boat racing, and one guy started riding up on the side of another boat around the corner and jumped it. The boat on the bottom was fine, but the one that jumped made the pilot fall out, and by the time he was almost totally out they landed upside down in the water, and it crushed him. I was the digital archivist for an NHL franchise. Part of my job was to log footage of the game, tag clips of big goals, hits, etc. I was fast forwarding through the in-house feed when I noticed a hit. A big hit. I mean an almighty drop the shoulder body check right in front of the crease. The unusual thing, it was during the intermission. The team mascot, a 40-year-old man, was perpetrator. The victim, a 6-year-old girl. Not a cameraman, but my father loved telling a story about watching the Cowboys get blown out at home sometime in the 70s. It's the 4th quarter, and they're at the point where the cameras are panning across the stands, showing that everyone's gone home. They zoom in on one guy sitting all alone way up in the cheap seats. He sees the camera, grimaces, raises his fist, and flips America the bird. Everything freezes, and after a moment, the commentator says, "And that's how we say, we're #1 here in the great state of Texas." Make sure to like and subscribe for more daily content. Thanks for watching.